business on display. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, we gon' put your business on display. I got winners on the way. You know you can't knock the hustle. And if you gotta get in place, and we gon' put your business on display. Grab a seat with Neesha for a minute. And if you got the goods, we can talk about your business. She know what it's like to make a move independently. And I don't fake us like that. We've been trusting God like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, we gon' put your business on display.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Neesha here with Neesha's Network. We work Wednesdays. And guess what, you guys? I am supposed to be in the sunny California, Los Angeles. I am in Los Angeles, but I am not in the sunny Los Angeles, California, because it is not sunny here, you guys, okay? Maybe a tinge. You know, I came here to visit my children and really just enjoy the beautiful weather. And oh my goodness. Okay, let's just talk about how this season is just not what I expected it to be. So it's okay because the sun is still shining, even with the overcast, and we got to connect with some good family and friends. But and with that being said, we can't let anything stop the show, even if we're on vacation. And I'm super excited to be here for Wednesday. We Work Wednesday, where we are always sharing people we think that you should know. And I'm super excited about my guest today. So I'm going to bring her on right away because she is all the way over in another country. And I'm so super excited about that. None other than Miss Becky Armstrong Corbett. Hi, Becky. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to give a little intro about where we met, and then I'll let you share your first introduction to me, why you even stumbled in the little room. So you guys know, here we go again with my long story about Clubhouse. Been definitely on there and meeting some amazing, spectacular people. And just so you all know, I've been interviewing quite a few people from Clubhouse, but because there are millions of people that are on there, it doesn't mean that I want to interview everybody. But I was so touched by Miss Becky when she came in the room. First of all, her voice alone is mesmerizing and captivating because I love people with accents. and then the fact that she was on another part of the world and I just connected with her. So I'm just super excited for her to be my special guest today and her passion about the things she's passionate about. And we're going to talk about that. But before we do, Becky, give a little intro of what you thought of coming into the room with me on Clubhouse. Tell us where you're from and a little bit about your background and what you do and what time it is there and everything. And then we'll dive into the interview.
Cool. So, hello, I'm Becky and I am from the UK. I'm from a place called Cambridgeshire, which is East Anglia in the UK. And I had an invitation to Clubhouse and I thought I would have a nosy around and came across you and your room, and I thought I was in the audience and I was just having a little nosy, and it was just such a lovely room to be in. There was such a lovely vibe. Everybody was so supportive of each other, sharing their stories, sharing, you know, some of their life experience, some of their tips as well. And I don't know, there was just a connection, I think, between the two of us. And I think I popped my hand up to share my experience about something, and we hit it off from there. It's just a really lovely room to be in, and I was very grateful that we made that connection. A little bit about me. I am married. I have 2 children. And I'm a psychotherapist and clinical hypnotherapist. I've always been in caring professions. So I've been a nurse, then I was a palliative care nurse. I've worked in mental health within a hospital environment, within the emergency room. And now I work for myself. So that's a little bit about me. My youngest son is about to go to university, so very excited about that. So
Nice.
he's very excited. Yeah, so he's going to be doing Bachelor of Arts in Fashion Design. So
Okay.
as long as he names his first collection after me, we're good.
No, that's right. The word last name Corbett alone, Becky Corbett, fashion and design. So anyway, I wanted to say that you really just touched so many people just by your story and your serenity. And now that I hear a little bit more about your background in regards to nursing, that was my first major in college before I became a hairstylist. And the care that comes across when you speak is so huge. And so I just want to say that I found another connection of why we're connected, because I'm so passionate about caring for others. And so tell us a little bit about how long you were in nursing and what made you shift. What made you shift into starting your own business and becoming a psychotherapist and clinical hypnotherapist?
I think because of my own lived experience with mental health challenges and wanting to understand how the brain works, because I felt that if I understood how the brain works, I might be able to understand myself a little bit more. And so that's why I took the shift from doing that kind of care to then training into mental health. And I think because of my own experience as well, it sort of gives you that bit of an empathy, I think, as well, doesn't it, for others that have been in a mental health sort of crisis of some kind. And I have found that to be so healing, so healing, because you start to work out why you respond the way you do by doing that. So, for example, if you have a panic attack before an exam or a business meeting, what I understand now is that response is from my primitive brain. It's a stressful situation. I'm responding in a primitive way to it. Actually, what I understand from the science is that it's not the event that's causing me to react this way. It's my negative thinking about the event, which builds up and creates anxiety. Then, of course, you have this primitive response, which is, like a panic attack, almost as if a polar bear is chasing me, but actually, that response is great in that sort of polar bear situation where you've got to run for your life. But it's not a situation where we're in a life or death situation when we're in that business meeting or in that exam. So understanding that part of the brain has been really helpful to me in being able to heal from some of the things that have happened to me. And of course, then I've been able to pass that on to my clients. And so working within mental health was just that natural step, I think, really, from my own journey and finding that helpful thing. I wanted to share that with other people, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. And it's very interesting because I have come from a lived experience of family members who have had mental health challenges. And so throughout the years, and I won't name who they are or who they were, God rest some of their souls, but also, families that are still living and medication. And it's so interesting how the brain, I do know that the brain is it's a powerful,
yeah.
But I was thinking about this, about how, and I'm a veer off just a little bit, about how sometimes when people are going to mental health challenges, and I mean talking about clinically mentally ill, right? And you know that they're medicated. And so sometimes people fall off their medication and different things like that. And they act unseemingly. They can't really function the way they normally would. And it's so funny how I was a teenager and a young adult. And I was always had my mindset as this, Becky. Well, my husband says this: if you know someone has Tourette's, then you can respond a little differently. But if you don't know, then you have a tendency to say, why are they lashing out at me? Why are they doing this? And so when he made that phrase many years, we've been married 32 years, but he made that phrase years ago. But in my mind, even before I met him, I said, if people say this person has a mental health challenge and then they act unseemingly, the normal part of them that is normal part of the time does not mean that it went away. It just means that that either the medication is off or something caused the brain to trigger back to, you know, the illness. So I just want to say that family members are just not sensitive. I'm gonna say my own, as well as friends of mine who I know are not sensitive to the fact that people don't realize that if you have something going on, just because there's some normalcy in your life doesn't mean that that illness actually went away. So maybe you can expound on why family members get so frustrated a little bit with their family members who have lived experience of the mental health. And it's like, you know, it gets confusing for people. You know what I mean? You're normal 6 months out the year, and then this just all of a sudden everything flips. So I don't know if you can expound a little bit on that.
I think it's like a lot of things. You think of, you know, people being intolerant to other people with different belief systems. It boils down 9 times out of 10 to ignorance, don't you think? A lack of understanding of what's going on. And also, we talk a lot about invisible illness as well. People that have things like lupus and that sort of thing. You can't see that they're poorly on the outside. You know, if they were in a plaster cast, we'd be sympathetic.
Yeah, that's true.
We can see it. But because it's in the brain or it's an invisible illness, we become, well, they're not really poorly. Or why can't you just, you know, you're just being lazy. Well, actually, no, they're not. You know, for people like lupus, I think there's a great little story about the spoon therapy where somebody's trying to explain their lack of energy. And so they grab a handful of teaspoons, and each teaspoon corresponds to something that they have to do. And at the end of the day, you've got, say, 2 teaspoons. Do you make your tea? Do you go to bed? You know, and sometimes it's not until something is presented to us in a visual format that people can be very empathetic, you know, to what's going on. I think it really is a lack of understanding. And personally, I do feel that as a society everywhere, we should have mental health discussed in schools, even in primary schools. It should be part of the curriculum. Understanding, you know, that mental health doesn't mean that, you know, it's just you're poorly. You can be poorly in your heart, you can be poorly in your head, you know. And I think if we had that education from a young age, how to cope with a panic attack, for example, knowing that you're not having a heart attack, it's just you're feeling a little bit stressed. Yes. You know, those kind of things from a young age, I really do think would help us as a society when those children got older to be more understanding of somebody with a mental health challenge.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. Hey, everybody, we're here with Becky Armstrong Corbett, and she is a clinical hypnotherapist as well as a psychotherapist, and she is here talking to us about our brains, you guys. And wow, I love that you said that, Becky, about how, you know, I do think people need to be more aware. I do think that people are just uneducated that these things exist, and I have my own ideas of why children are starting to have mental health challenges so young. I've heard of more mental things going on with the kids. But I want to ask you, you know, what makes you so passionate about this field? Just tell us a little bit about your passion behind, you know, this work that you're doing.
I think because I've had, I mentioned sort of earlier, I've always been you know, I've had my own mental health crisis. So learning about the brain and understanding how that works and why we sometimes do ridiculous things, and seeing the profound effect that that's had on my own mental health has pushed me to want to do that for other people. So my own mental health challenges, for example, were really trauma induced, and that's typical rather than the exceptions. So most people with a mental health challenge, there's some kind of trauma behind it. And so this role gives me the opportunity to help others overcome trauma in the same way that I have myself, and then seeing them go on to have more fulfilling lives is just absolutely incredible. And I found myself, because of my own unique circumstances, which we might come on to later, in the UK, there aren't many therapists that have either religious mind control experience and childhood sexual abuse experience rolled into one. So that was another motivating factor for me to do this role, because I've got that experience personally, so I can use that. And I think it helps people to relate to you. It's not just somebody who's had training and can do everything by the book.
Okay.
It's somebody that can say, do you know what? I get where you're coming from. I've got the T-shirt, and here I am. And I think that can be a message of hope. Just the fact that you're there helping somebody else and you've been where they are is I think a massive beacon of hope for them.
That is so true. And I had another question for you, but my mind shifted when you mentioned that, because I do believe that people that have had a personal experience, you have an inroad to actually being more empathetic to what people are going through or what they're dealing with. But I wanted you to address the children for a minute, because one of the things that I want to say, you know, adults are stubborn. We're stubborn. We do what we want to do, right? But as a parent who may observe some mental health situations going on, and they say, you know, what would you recommend that they do first? Because, you know, immediately the go-to is, oh, they may need some medication, or, oh, you know, and should they think trauma? How would they even investigate trauma-based induced, you know, challenges from the mental health? You know, how would they even identify that? What are some suggestions you can give parents who may need to look for signs?
I think if you've got, so for me personally, because for me it was trauma-based, your child will try to find some areas that they can control, because so much has been taken out of their control, particularly if it's somebody that's been sexually abused. So because they have little control over that, then the child will look for any avenue that they can control. It doesn't matter what it is. It might be that you've said to them, no, they can't have that particular T-shirt, and they react in a way that's over and above the crime of you not giving them that T-shirt, because they haven't got any control. So if you suddenly notice that your child is becoming what you might term as rebellious in some way, then it might be an opportunity to sit down and have a discussion to find out what's really going on. But I think this is really where it's so important that we have good lines of communication open with our children from a really young age. And I would say one of the things that I did with my children was I spoke to them from a young age that nobody was allowed to touch them, for example. Nobody was allowed to touch them, naming their parts of their body and talking that you know, this is an area that nobody touches you here. If anybody does, you know, you can come and talk to mummy or daddy or whatever, and you must come and tell me if daddy does something inappropriate or mummy does something inappropriate, you know. So having those conversations will help to protect our children, but also keeping those lines of communication open, knowing that they're not going to get into trouble should they say what really is going on, and doing it in a relaxed way. not making it a big deal, sitting down at the dining room table and now what's going on, just making it as relaxed and informal as possible so that they feel comfortable to talk.
Wow. That's really good information. And I think a lot of parents miss those moments where they can actually share that. Our half an hour is going so fast. I have so many more questions. So I wanted to say also, since we are on the topic of children, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about the nonprofit organization that it stirred me tremendously to see that someone has a passion for the babies and for the children and not to just let them suffer alone.
Okay, so I was sexually abused within a religious organization, within a cult. And within the UK, if the law states, and I think there are areas in the US as well, so there'll be plenty of people that can relate. If somebody goes to their minister, their church leader or whatever, and says, my child, or if it's a child, goes to their religious leader and says, I'm being sexually abused by whoever it might be, could be a family member, could be somebody else within that religious community. By law within the UK, that religious minister is not obligated at all by law to tell anybody that that's happening. And I think that is wrong. And that is why my abuse was allowed to continue on. And it was brushed under the carpet. So because of my experience, not only am I using it in my professional life to help children and help adults, but in my personal life, I'm also trying to campaign. So I've been down to Parliament. I've been part of an inquiry set up by the government in the UK, telling my story and trying to get the law changed so that anyone who reports sexual abuse, then there's a proper procedure in place. There's people that you can talk to and tell. So the right kind of people, the right kind of authorities are told immediately what's taking place. Because even if there was a false claim, those people are trained to deal with it and to work that out. And 9 times out of 10, it is a legitimate case. So we've set up an organisation, myself and a few others, where we have done seminars with national safeguarding leads within the UK, trying to help them understand how they can communicate and how they can build up a relationship with somebody that's in a high control religion, with a child that's in a high control religion, so that that child has an opportunity to go to somebody and explain that they're being abused in whatever way they're being abused. And that's my passion. So we're waiting for the government's report, which is coming out in the summer. And based on that, which we're hoping that they will recommend mandatory reporting of sexual abuse. Based on that, then it will depend on which way I go, whether we become very active if it's not mandatory reporting. But yeah, so that's my passion in my spare time, if you like. I just want to make the world a safer place. And I think that's one way you can heal, by using your experience to help others in a positive way. And, if I can die knowing that we've changed the law for children, that would be, fantastic.
That is so wonderful. Can I say thank you? Thank you for being used to really make a difference in the lives of children and really all over the world. I know you're in the UK, but just this voice is in the US. So thank you so much. And I guess it could be everywhere because Facebook is everywhere and YouTube is everywhere. So thank you. And you guys, please support Becky wherever you are, and look up her website and support her, and maybe ask her of how you can be a support system to her organization and her passion. BeckyCorbett.com. So excited So Becky, I just want to ask you, what has been one of the most rewarding things that has happened since you have just taken on the assignment? Because that's what I'm gonna call it. It's truly a big assignment on your shoulders to really, work with people and help them to heal.
I think it's being able to, I help those that, so there are some that have escaped from this mind control, and I help them on a pro bono basis. So I help them for free. So I use all my professional skills, and I help them for free to be able to move forward, really. Because one of the things that's very difficult when you've been in mind control, for children, is to work out who they are, because everything's been dictated to them, what they wear, what they eat, what music they listen to, all of that sort of thing. So, I've sometimes got 19-year-olds that actually don't know who they are anymore. And to see them realize that actually this is the path that I want to take. I want to go down here. I want to go off down this route. I want to go to university, or whatever it might be. Seeing them get in touch with their authentic self is huge. It's absolutely huge. And
yeah,
price on it.
that is so beautiful. Well, I know I'm all the way over here, but hopefully one day we'll get to meet in person, because I just want to hug you. Thank you so much for that. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to do what you're doing? They don't just want to become a clinical hypnotherapist or a psychotherapist. They actually just want to make a difference in regards to the children, or making a difference in the mindset of people. What would you tell them they need to do? Some of the first steps.
I would say the first thing is educate yourself. Educate yourself on what you want to do, and study and learn. And then, you get a gut feeling of what you really want to do. And keep asking yourself, why do you want to do that? I think they talk about the 5 whys. So you can find out whether this is the path for you, and educate yourself on it, and then look for organizations near you that are as close as possible to what your passion is, and get in touch with them. And then you'll find I think that's just one of the great ways of meeting other people, and then you flourish, and you're off.
Wow. You know what? I'm thinking about this. You guys, I could think of several people who are actually interested in what we've talked about today. So is it okay for people to go to your website and talk to you, and maybe, get more information on how they can be of an assistance, maybe not in the UK, but in the US, you know what I mean? To really kind of
absolutely. Yeah. There is, there are some people in the US who are doing what I'm doing in the UK. So I could always refer them on, who are trying to get the law changed and trying to protect children and that sort of thing. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure talking to you today. Like, the fastest 30 minutes we have ever had, but probably because it's such good conversation, and I'm getting a lot of feedback and text messages that people are very appreciative for this conversation. I have you back so we can do a part 2. Is that okay?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Love that. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Have you published yet, Becky?
I haven't, and I'm in the middle of starting to write a book. So yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I know that there's a book about your story, and I'm super excited about it. So you get in touch with Neesha's network so we can get that book published faster, okay? I think that needs to happen, because you have a phenomenal story. The half hasn't even been told. And I just also want to encourage our viewers and listening audience that, it doesn't matter. And of course, I am, like I said, unapologetically a Christian, but it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, if you're a believer, you're an unbeliever. It matters that your voice needs to be heard. And it is wrong for you not to be able to be that space. The church is supposed to be a space. And I know you use the word cult, so we won't speak to the church, but we will say it is wrong for any organization to make children feel like they cannot be heard, or people, not just children, but people in general to not be able to be heard about the abuse and the traumatic things they have suffered. And so I know that there are several hotlines for people to call, but I think that we can talk about you all contacting BeckyCorbett.com. The world has opened up for virtual, and that's the real blessing, right? You don't have to suffer because you're like, oh, I can't get there, I can't do that. There is virtual technology to be able to allow everyone. So contact BeckyCorbett.com. Contact her today if you need help. Contact her if you want to in the assignment that she's on, in the path where she is changing laws and allowing the voices of our children to be heard, and that people don't have to be silent and suffer silently. And then the inspiration behind letting you know that you have the mindset to change. And I know, I say, with the help of God, you can. And Becky is a vessel that's being used to help us get our minds right. You guys, Becky, if you could leave anything with the people, something of encouragement, please do. One nugget that could really kind of inspire people with the passion and the work that you're doing. Please share.
I think I would say what started as a dreadful experience for me as a young child growing up has turned into something that can benefit others. And I think that is one of the things. It doesn't matter where you are in life. Look at me at the age I am now, and I have been able
at the age of 25, right? At the age of 25.
25, just saying.
Working, girl.
Ray is a thing now.
It is.
So, I just think that anybody can turn their life around. It doesn't matter where you are. There's a story where a young woman says to a farmer, I need to get here. And he says, well, if I was you, I wouldn't be starting from here. So it doesn't matter where we are. The point is, look at where you are and what's your next turn. Don't look back and think, but this isn't where I want to be. That doesn't matter. What is your next turn for your goal and for your journey in life? And if I can recover, believe me, anybody can. So if anybody's watching, you've got it. You've got it.
You got it, you guys. You heard it from the mouth of Becky Corbett. Log into www.BeckyCorbett.com to meet this amazing woman who is now my friend. And I'm so excited that you were my guest today. I appreciate you. Do not suffer silent life. Open up and share so that you can be healed. Thank you, Becky, for today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor to be here, and it's been wonderful chatting to you. And I can't believe that's the fastest half hour I've ever experienced in my life. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll look forward to you again. Okay.
That's wonderful.
Let's talk soon. All right, you guys. Well, we're signing off here today. We will be back next Wednesday for We Work Wednesday. Love you guys. Have an amazing Wednesday. Love on someone.
Yeah.